em especial Café com BRICS, né? Como alguns de vocês já sabem, de diálogo da Plataforma Socioambiental aqui do BRICS Policy Center, coordenado pela professora Maureen Santos, que está chegando em breve, uns 10 minutinhos. Aqui no Café com BRICS, em geral, a gente faz ali naquela sala, mas como houve muitas inscrições, que é ótimo para esse evento, a gente fez aqui no auditório em formato de roda. É um espaço no qual a gente discute questões climáticas relacionadas a questões socioambientais de forma sempre bastante informal. Então, os nossos convidados, em geral, eles fazem fala de uns 30 minutos, depois a gente abre para perguntas da audiência. A gente tem o prazer de receber hoje aqui conosco a Alexandra Morozkina. Peraí, gente, para ver se se chamou. Que é agora vice-diretora de pesquisa da Universidade HSE na Rússia, chefe de divisão de reformas estruturais do Grupo de Especialistas Econômicos, presidente da Comissão de Especialistas da Agência Russa para a Cooperação Humanitária Internacional, e ela está aqui para discutir os principais resultados da 17ª BRICS. E nesses vários eventos que a gente vem organizando da Plataforma Socioambiental esse ano, a gente tem falado sobre a importância de todos esses eventos, dessas cúpulas que têm acontecido no Brasil, tanto dia 20, ano passado, os BRICS esse ano, e claro, a COP30, que vai ser no final do ano, e como esses espaços se transformam em oportunidades para avançar essas pautas climáticas que estão sintonizadas ou alinhadas com questões socioambientais. Então, eu entendo que a Alexandra vai falar mais amplamente do que somente questões climáticas e ambientais, fazendo esse apanhado aí que foi essa 17ª Cúpula dos BRICS. Então, agradeço, Alexandra. Thank you, Alexandra, for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. Please.
Yes.
Okay, great. Bom dia. My Portuguese is really bad, so I'm going to speak in English. In Russia, we have phrasing what the eyes hear hands do, and in English it's more like all the things are difficult before they are easy. And that's how I would like to title my today's speech, because what we do in BRICS and what is well reflected in this year declaration are the tough issues of the global governance and the change in the global governance that the BRICS start to do. So these are the first steps, maybe not so impressive, but these are the first steps in the very important issues. And I will speak about three main issues, and these are settlements in national currencies. I'm an economist, so this is my favorite. This is my favorite part, and this is where I can talk for the whole day. But I won't bore you. Don't worry. And the second one is artificial intelligence. That is extremely important on the eve of the new industrial revolution. We've been talking about it for a number of years. And the third one is, of course, the climate issues Paula mentioned. And it is very important, of course, on the eve of the second spot that is going to be out. So the large part of the Rio Declaration was the climate issues, so I couldn't just skip it. So the first one on the nation currencies. And it's really great that we have the continuity of the themes of the summit. So this year Rio Declaration mentions lots of initiatives from the last year Kazan Declaration, and that is a great idea, because not always, even in BRICS, and you probably know that not always in the international forums, there is a continuity of the themes, and each of the presidencies want to stress their own issues, sometimes forget what was during the last years. But on this year, we clearly see the continuity of the themes. And first, of course, and one of the key issues was the settlement national currencies. Unfortunately, among the BRICS, it's not very common to have payments in national currencies, except for China and Russia. That's totally another story. 97% in national currencies, but in general, in BRICS, no more than 10 and 5 to 10%. Oh, it's getting better, right? Yeah. 5 to 10% in national currencies and more than 80% in US dollars. But the theme was there since the very first summits. So we saw it in the declaration, in the discussions that was, by the way, other students who study BRICS here, please raise your hands. No students who study BRICS? Yeah. Okay. When was the first meeting of the BRICS? The first meeting of the BRICS? Not BRICS, but BRIC. Okay. BRIC. Not to confuse you. 2008. 2008 was the first meeting of the leaders. Yeah, that's good. Really good answer. No? Okay. 2006. In 2006, the BRICS foreign minister met for the, not BRICS, but BRIC that time, yeah. But they met for the first time, and among the other issues was the discussion on the reforming of the international monetary system, including settlements in national currencies. Because it is an important part of the international monetary issues. But in the declaration, in the official document, we saw it for the first time in 2010, that in the declaration. But the ice cleared as I started. Yeah, so we didn't do almost anything until the 2017, when we started to create some parts of the infrastructure, of the financial infrastructure that is needed to increase the liquidity of the national currencies, which is needed in its turn to increase the settlements in national currencies. So in 2017, we agreed on the local currency bond fund. And the local currency bond fund is a fund that should consist of the bonds issued by BRICS countries, by private and public partners in the local currencies. So the risks in this fund will be lower than each of the bonds, and the demand with the decreased risk, the demand would be higher. The good example is the Asian Bond Fund, which was created by the South Asian countries, ASEAN, and it increased the liquidity of national currencies a lot. And we wanted to create this kind of instrument to increase the liquidity of national currencies in BRICS. Unfortunately, by 2025, we couldn't agree upon the structure of the fund. So how should we allocate these shares of these bonds in this fund? So it's not working, but at least we started to create some infrastructure. After that, in 2020, the funds continued to do a bit, and we included the settlements in national currencies into the strategy of the BRICS partnership until 2025. And so we mentioned it in the BRICS strategic document. But the real work of the hands, the eyes still here. When we talk about the reforming of international monetary system, we still have somewhere on the background that the dollar is the most convenient, most liquid currency and we should still settle in dollar, but we try to move in another way. So in 2023, during South African presidency, we tasked BRICS finance ministers to explore the opportunities to increase the settlements in national currencies. And in Kazan, we had this report on. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's information now. So, always these kind of issues. Okay. So in Kazan, we had a report on the reforming of international monetary system, and this report is raising hands who made the report. No one. Okay. Oh, great! Thank you very much. You saved my day. Yes, because we were participating in the creation of the report, and it's very unfortunate to hear that no one has read it. Well, I hope that someone did. And this is a bit general, of course, but this is the first document of this kind prepared by the developing countries, by the emerging economies. So it's not prepared by IMF or with the participation of the US or EU. So we find it very important for us. And this year, also, although we didn't have this big declarations, but we continued to work on the issues outlined in the report. And the central bank line issued a technical report with the views of the central bankers of all BRICS countries on the increase of settlements in national currencies. This is a closed report, so it's not published. But to me, that this report is closed means that there is something interesting inside. Some interesting issues. So we proceed with these issues. And the second part of the economic part of the declaration was dedicated to the investment platform. Last year in Kazan, we suggested the establishment of the investment platform, but at first in 2024 there was no notions, no insights on what this platform would be there inside this platform. And this year, during the Brazilian presidency, we saw the position of the multilateral guarantees system that could be included in this platform. So on the investment platform, we think that it would attract private investors, and with the public guarantees decrease the risk for the private investors. So this multilateral guarantee system would be a part of the investment platform, and we usually use it by the multilateral development banks and national development banks too. And Russian Development Bank, Michigan Bank also uses the guarantee system to attract private investors. We had more than 1 trillion rubles in 2024 of the guarantees. But in the New Development Bank, we could use the guarantees as an instrument, but we didn't use it so far. So I think, I hope that for the next years, we will see this instrument work on the New Development Bank too. And the next very important notion that we had for the first time in the Rio Declaration is the notion, in the highlighting of the role of the multilateral development banks in the process of increasing settlements in national currencies. Well, researchers always said that we can use the New Development Bank in order to increase the liquidity of the national currencies, to increase the share of loans in national currencies that are issued by the New Development Bank. But it was never noted in the declarations. We saw it the first time this year in Rio. So it states that the new development bank can play a great role in the increase of the settlements in national currencies, and it's really good because next year is the last year of the current strategy of the new development bank. It's set up until 2026, and it had a goal on the increase of the loans in the national currencies up to 30% by the end of the 2026. And the notion of the role of the new development bank in the process of increasing settlements in national currencies gives us some hope that the next strategy also will continue this way. So we see the next goal of the increasing of the shares of loans of national currencies in BRICS. What is interesting is that all of the multilateral development banks, all of the regional development banks, the Asian Development Bank, Latin American Development Bank, and the Eurasian Development Bank led by Russia, all have in their mandates the increase of the role of the national currencies of the member countries, but the share of the national currencies doesn't exceed 50 to 20% in their loans. So most of the outstanding loans are nominated in US dollars or in other hard currencies. And I think that BRICS countries could use their membership in the Council of Directors in these institutions to make them set up some goals in their strategies, like the New Development Bank does, to increase the share of the loans. This is all for the first part of the themes that I wanted to cover. And we need more actions, more infrastructures to increase the settlements in national currencies. And we are now working on the theoretical approaches to the where at HSE University we're working on the theoretical approaches to the system of multilateral settlements in national currencies. But the main issue is how to define the exchange rates automatically when you trade in multiple currencies. And of course, the large role would be in digital technologies. And I didn't use ChatGPT to find it. So the next very important issue is the artificial intelligence and the role of countries in this issue. This, by the way, I believe that yesterday you published in the BRICS Policy Center fact sheet material on the artificial intelligence. So you also highlighted the role of this theme this year. And what we saw this year, also nice here, the BRICS countries are very different in terms of their development of the artificial intelligence, from China, who is at the top, to Ethiopia, who is not very much developing artificial intelligence. All of the BRICS countries have their strategies on the development of the artificial intelligence, but only China sets a very ambitious goal to become the leader in the AI. All other countries set their goals to become in top 5 countries or top 15 countries by the development of AI. And in Rio Declaration this year, we saw the agreement on the principles on the global governance of the AI, and it is also very general. But as with the report on the reforming of international monetary system, it's important that when the eyes fear, the hands still do, And it's very important to have the principles formulated by the emerging economies in these spheres. And it is the very first document of this kind that was prepared by the emerging economies, so that we have the stress on the fairness, for example, of the AI data, the AI databases, the AI technologies. This is very much highlighted in these principles. Of course, BRICS countries are, as I mentioned, are very different. China has investment in AI about 20 billion each year, and the next BRICS country, the second one, India, has only about 1 billion investment, so it's 20 times lower than the first one. So China is the real leader in AI technologies. But in terms of the number of researches, number of articles published, India, Brazil, and Russia, they're quite close to each other, and they come on the second place after China. You probably want to know the situation in Russia. In your fact sheet, you only had China and Brazil. I understand that China is the leader, and you're in Brazil, so you would like to cover those. Yes, in Russia, we had adopted a strategy on the development of AI only last year, but that happens in Russia. We adopted documents after we start working. So we were working on these issues for many years, actually. So we have a rather well-developed AI system, Yandex.GPT. It's called Yandex.GPT. So it was we have a number of them, but the Yandex is the biggest Russian technology company, and it's quite good. It's not compared with ChatGPT, but it's still good, and especially good for the Russian language chats. We also had, starting from the 2021, we started to develop AI excellence centers, and our university, HSE University, was one of the 10 first universities that were to develop AI. I'm as a professor. I don't like AI too much because my students start to write their works with the AI, and it's really bad. So they can't answer the questions, nothing, but still we try to incorporate it in our education process. So, for example, in my discipline in BRICS, so we're doing the research papers on each of the issues. For example, the writing groups. On the issue of the education, on infrastructure. So they try to find, they describe the current situation of BRICS countries, and they try to propose something for BRICS countries. And on the issue of digitalization, I ask them to write with the AI, so that they use the ideas that I stamp, and that's fun. Because they understand what are the pros and cons of these processes. Okay, and that is for the digitalization and AI. And the third one issue that I wanted to cover, that was highlighted at a large part in the Rio Declaration and the climate finance. What I like about this year is that the BRICS countries gradually become the excellence center for the climate issues, for the climate financing, for all of the climate changes. That they highlight their role as the emerging economies, and that their ways and their approaches to climate financing. I mentioned climate financing just because I'm an economist, not a biologist, but all of the issues, of course, they're in the declaration and in the discussions. This theme started to build in BRICS only in a couple of the last years. So before we mentioned the COP conference and we welcomed the results and everything, but the real discussion started only a few years ago. And of course, this year it had to be one of the priorities since in November. We are going to hold the COP conference. So I would divide the climate issue in three parts. First, the climate finance, of course. This year, we adopted the Declaration on Climate Finance, and it's very important as the manifesto of the developing countries in the issues of climate finance, and we highlight that it is very important for the emerging economies to connect the climate finance and the increase of the climate finance with the reform of the multilateral financial institutions. So we want to increase our funding of the climate finance until this reform of the multilateral institutions and the role of developing countries are recognized by other countries. And it is very important. Otherwise, we have rather general principles. And the second part is the role of biodiversity and its connection with the climate issues. We didn't have it directly stated in the declaration, but it was in the discussions, and the issue is very important for Brazil, as far as I know. Maybe you would correct me. And but we still had the connections with the deforestation issues and with the other biodiversity issues in the declaration. So this connection was not directly stated, but it's still there in the declaration. Yes, of course, there's since Amazonia is the home for the most of the biodiversity in the world. It is, of course, very, very important. By the way, did anyone hear about Churashka? Yeah, the Russian. It is Russian here. It's Russian. Well, there was a book. It was a main hero of the book, and there was an animation and a movie about him. It's hard to pronounce, but if you Google it, you can see it. So Cheburashka is very famous in Russia. But Cheburashka, I just figured it out when I read these materials on the biodiversity in Brazil. I just realized that he's Brazilian because let me describe it. Cheburashka is a small animal with big ears, with big eyes, and he's very cute. He's really, really cute. And he is an unknown species. And he is positioned as an unknown species. And in the book and in the movie, everyone discusses who is Cheburashka. So is he a bear or is he somewhat? No one knows who. And he arrived to Russia from the country who produces oranges. So he arrived with the box in the box of the oranges. So I figured out that if he is unknown and Brazil holds most of the species in the world, so if there is an unknown species, it must be Brazilian. And Brazil is one of the largest producers of oranges. So he must be Brazilian. And so one of the most famous Russian heroes is Brazilian. Okay, so that was for the biodiversity part. And last one is that we have very much of influence pronunciation of the font. I hate it. Really, it's very hard to pronounce for Russians. I'm not sure presidents. There are two words. The second one I don't remember, but this one, institutionalized, is very very hard to pronounce. And so we saw a lot of new ideas, these new sets in the Rio Declaration. And first, it is a laboratory on climate issues, on trade and climate and economic issues. And the second one is the climate research platform, and also principles of the fair declaration of the carbon footprint. So what I like about it is that BRICS recognize their role as the important part of the climate change, and their role as the leaders of the global majority in terms of climate finance. So we had, I have discussed, not yet, but I hope for the questions. Three main, to my mind, three main issues outlined in the BRICS Declaration. They might not be very precise and very detailed at this moment, but for me, it's very important that we have these first steps, the first declarations, the first principles outlined there as the principles of the BRICS countries and the principles that can be used by the global majority. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexandra. We now open the room for questions. Maybe we can get 3 questions and Alexandra answers, and then we have a second round. Who would like to begin? E lembre que vocês podem perguntar em português, que a gente tem a tradução. A gente tem uma aqui. Bom, pode começar.
For me, better English, but we do have. Você está com tempo?
Good morning. My name is Nilma Farias. I'm an accountant. I'm a postgraduate in sociology, political and culture, and the management and the governmental review. And I was approved in the market. And that all of people here know what is mapping. Mapping is a master's, is a master, is a graduation, master in international relationship and international e de relações internacionais do Rio. I forgot how to say. And you know about the artificial intelligence. We know that artificial intelligence is beneficial. On the other hand, would be maléfico. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. Acho que é melhor. Então, é porque a linguagem às vezes não dá para fazer. Então, você falou sobre a inteligência artificial, né? A gente sabe que a inteligência artificial é benéfica, por um lado, ela pode ajudar. Ela pode ajudar a agilizar o trabalho de diversas formas. Por outro lado, ela tem o lado que não é, e tem o lado também dos riscos, né? E como a gente sabe, como você falou, que a China está em primeiro lugar, e a China está em primeiro lugar em desenvolvimento de desenvolvimento, né? A China tem que lugar, isso que eu entendi. E como o BRICS vê isso para se proteger, como você disse, você é mais ligada à economia, mas como você falou desse assunto, então um pouco. Como o BRICS pode fazer para se proteger desses riscos diante da inteligência artificial ser tão benéfica para o desenvolvimento?
Diretamente duas perguntas. Elas são polares. Olá. Tem alguém? O seu país não está, algum tipo da revista Fashion Brasil.com.br. Nós vamos entrar de 23 a 29 de agosto no evento do Rio de Janeiro, Week, tá? Eu queria saber se teremos alguma ação do BRICS dentro desse evento. Vamos encontrar. Se você está sabendo desse evento no Rio de Janeiro.
Bom dia a todos. Muito obrigada pela palestra, foi excelente, deixa eu batizar as informações. Meu nome é Jéssica Rondoni, eu sou ecoeducadora, multinacionalista e também multiplicadora de um projeto habitacional internacional, que aqui no Brasil chamamos de Termo Territorial Coletivo. E ele é um projeto internacional que tem como nome internacional Community Land Trust. E eu gostaria de saber, nesse fundo de financiamento do MDB, quais são as organizações que podem acessar esse fundo. Na verdade, se organizações que não sejam vinculadas ao governo podem acessar o fundo para projetos internacionais com base nesse projeto habitacional.
Thank you very much for your questions. And for the first one, so yes, of course, the Chinese role is exceptional. But where we can, so no one is saying that we should provide platforms for Chinese projects or whatever. But there are fields where we can cooperate on in equal. For example, the ethics of AI. So where we could find this, formulate these principles of where ethics of the usage of personal data, of the usage of AI, or of creation of pieces of work for the people involved and everything. And almost all of the BRICS countries are working, and some of them already, not only China, but some of the countries already have their principles of ethics in AI. And they are more or less the same for all of the emerging economies, not only for China. And this is important to formulate these principles is the voice of the emerging economies. To my mind, maybe you have another idea. Well, this is the first option that comes to my mind. And the second one is, of course, not only ethics, but the governance, what we saw this year. So the governance of the AI, yes, so that we have all of the challenges of the developing economies, the challenges of poverty, the challenges of creation of the employment of the new jobs for the people without education. So in terms of the new industrial revolution. That's why we created this 5-year initiative a few years ago in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And this cooperation in the artificial intelligence I see as a part of this partnership on the new industrial initiative. So this is the platform where we can exchange opinions, not exactly the investments projects in material, where we can exchange opinions and formulate our principles of the emerging economies. Hope that it answers. For the next one about the climate action week, unfortunately, I didn't hear about it. Next week, we will have a climate conference in Campinas next week. And there will be not here in Campinas, I know. So this one, unfortunately. But we have at HSE University, we have a laboratory on the climate economics, climate change. And our experts are participating each year as a part of the Russian delegation in Poland. And they are very much, very well known in the expert society. So please feel free to contact me. I will give you all the contacts. And Igor Makarov, who is the head of this laboratory, will be there next week. Unfortunately, not here, but there in Campinas for the climate conference. So I hope that we can collaborate in this field too. And next question was about the NDP funding. NDP, yes. NDP can fund the private projects, so it's not only public. You can source the information on their website. Sometimes they require some public guarantee, but not always. Not all of the projects. So, okay. And they have funded private projects. And in Brazil and in Russia, they used to. Now all of the projects are put on hold. But in India, in China, they always, all of the countries, they have private projects. So good luck. I hope that you will try it. Thank you. You're welcome. And we have time for 3 more questions.
Maureen, Marilena, e não, ela já foi agora, depois.
Alô, bom dia. Eu fiz a pergunta em português mesmo. Meu nome é Lavernete, eu sou estudante de Relações Internacionais da UERJ e trabalho numa ONG internacional chamada Climate Viagens, Project Brasil. E a minha pergunta para a professora é muito pensando mais no lado da filantropia e da sociedade civil. Essa ONG que eu trabalho ela é baseada nos Estados Unidos, eu trabalho numa filial brasileira. E quando o Trump, desde a entrada dele no poder, a gente viu pelo menos dentro do sociedade civil, um grande medo com essa possibilidade dele mudar o fluxo financeiro, né, de grants e outras formas de apoio que saem dos Estados Unidos para outros países ao redor do globo. Então, por exemplo, desde o início do ano, a gente teve várias ameaças a isso, que poderiam fechar o escritório do Brasil e de outras ONGs e fintechs também aqui presentes. Também um movimento de filantropias que são baseadas nos Estados Unidos, de irem para a Europa e também para a China. Aí eu queria ver qual a sua visão sobre isso, se você vê como principalmente dentro da China, Eu estou focado agora em estudos europeus, eu estou com a China e o BRICS, e queria saber se você acha que tem essa possibilidade de abertura dos países do BRICS receberem essas filantropias que estão saindo dos Estados Unidos por conta do efeito Trump, que hoje em dia, majoritariamente, essas filantropias são baseadas nos Estados Unidos, e se o Trump pode ser esse movimento, iniciar esse movimento de diversificar a presença de filantropias climáticas, principalmente. Obrigado.
Bom dia, falo em português. Obrigada, professora. Gente, eu sou Maureen, eu sou médico, a gente coordena o Plataforma Socioambiental. E a minha pergunta para você, em relação, você falou da declaração, né, que saiu do Brasil, dos BRICS, e do ponto de vista da agenda do clima, na relação dessa conferência do BRICS com a COP30, lembra-se, em novembro, eu fiquei particularmente muito frustrada do ponto de vista do que esses países BRICS poderiam ter avançado em relação a declarações ou compromissos nessa declaração final, ainda que o super apoio todo o debate sobre responsabilidade histórica, mas não teve nenhum compromisso concreto desses países do ponto de vista em relação à entrega das suas contribuições nacionalmente determinadas, por exemplo, ou alguma contribuição possível em matéria de financiamento, ou uma relação de como esse bloco ele poderia criar novas formas, ainda que tenha um ou dois parágrafos que eles mencionam, não o LDB, talvez muitas da declaração é isso, mas ficou muito aquém, uma potencialidade muito grande da urgência, o que eles mesmos falam na declaração. Queria que você pudesse comentar um pouco sobre pesquisa. Obrigada.
Bom dia, muito obrigada por estar aqui conosco. Sou Marilena, professora de trabalho também. Eu queria um pouco mais pensar na conjuntura atual, ou seja, o BRICS tem um enorme desafio hoje às mudanças que está vivendo no contexto internacional. E eu queria ver um pouco esse posicionamento um pouco dos BRICS nesse momento. Acho que tem ajudado bastante, talvez um legado da cúpula, o fortalecimento dos BRICS, talvez nos países, uma união muito clara, mas um pouco a gente está vendo o contexto internacional está mudando bastante e sobretudo, um posicionamento diferente nos países dos BRICS. E aí eu queria ver um pouco a sua opinião. E a segunda, avançando um pouco, é o que esperar da Índia. Olha, o próximo, a cultura da Índia. Sobretudo, acompanhando esse processo, desse momento, dessa geopolítica.
Pensar. These are very discussive questions, I would say, all of them. So first about the NGOs that are moving from the US to China. Did they capture? Okay, so they are. So you're talking most about the official development assistance.
Não, not the official.
Not the official, private development assistance. Well, private development assistance is less than 1% of the whole development assistance. So if we change the relation flows from private to NGOs, that wouldn't affect the whole system of development assistance. About the development assistance, what is more important is the plans to decrease the whole bilateral development assistance, which is more than 80% of all the development assistance. And just a couple of months ago, OECD published the plans to decrease the development assistance by the main donors by 40%. It's more than 1/3 of the whole development assistance.
if we count multilateral, and that is very important point. I was always saying that the BRICS countries can play a larger role in the development systems, and that they are well positioned to play a larger role. But one of the main problems in this field is that the official statistics by the OECD do not capture most of the development assistance provided by the developing countries. So they only capture the flows that the flows by the Committee of Development Assistance, and the flows which are counted well for them, for example, the administrative costs of the countries. Yeah, that's about 10% of the total development assistance. The assistance to I forgot the word, and there's no one knowing Russian by chance. Yeah. Sorry, I will try to explain it. That maybe you will help me. The people from the war regions who are going to another country, refugees, very correct. Thank you very much. So this. You should next time you should have a translator from Russian.
Try to remember, and then if you don't remember,
Yeah, that's difficult. That's difficult. Okay, so the assistance to refugees, which is mostly important only for the European countries, it accounts for about 50% of the whole development assistance, and NGOs in so this private financing is just 1%. So it's well important part of the development assistance, but not so important as the major trends in this field. I wouldn't count that much on the private development assistance from BRICS countries for now, but we are working on it. For example, a very interesting issue here is the government support for these private parties that provide development assistance. So, for example, if a private company provides some aid inside the country, they receive the tax discount. If they provide an international assistance, they don't receive anything. So no public support for this kind of thing. But where they have these budget limitations, and everything, maybe we are more interested in supporting the private flows from our countries to another countries instead of the public support. So this is extremely big issue. I will appreciate the whole lecture on it, so probably we should chat afterwards because the development assistance is one of my favorite things. But answering your question in short, no, I don't see the opportunities for now in just one or 2 years, but on the horizon of 5 to 10 years, maybe we can see the whole development assistance system change. Well, the existence of the whole current development assistance system is about 60 years. So it's nothing in comparison to the history of the international affairs. And so it will change anyway. So the next one was sorry about the BRICS. About the BRICS scenarios.
The declaration. I'm frustrated.
The climate finance. The BRICS declaration on climate finance. You said that it's just too general, yeah. I just mentioned about the final finance declaration and the final declaration. Both talk about the climate agenda towards COP30, and I be personally frustrated because I don't saw any kind of concrete commitments between the BRICS countries related to the climate agenda. They talk about nationalist action, blah blah blah. They put, of course, the count in the north. But as a huge bloc, they can contribute a lot, even about NDCs, they even from
Yeah, very good question. Very good question.
And I agree about stories.
Yeah, that's really of course, but even that. So very good question, but please to take into account that we were talking in BRICS on climate finance only for a couple of years. So, and BRICS countries are extremely diversified in terms of climate finance. So you just cannot, on this stage, you just cannot have some corporate joint commitments of the BRICS countries. They are really too different. So we have the Brazil with very diversified energy sources. And we have Ethiopia with the mostly biofuels, but in terms of the trees, yes, it's very low level of energy development. We have China leader, second leader in the global emissions. Yeah, we have India with increasing emissions. We have Arab countries with a very low level of diversification of their energy source. So BRICS countries are just very, very different in terms of climate and in terms of climate finance too. So, for example, for Russia, it's very important to finance the transition projects, which are not counted in the classifications of the European countries. Here's 3 projects. But we have to attract investors in that field. We can't just go to the green financing without skipping this stage of the transition finance. But it's not important for Brazil at all. Well, not at all. But this is the least priority. So we just cannot advance some commitments out of these differences and. That is important to have the discussion, to continue to have discussions in the following years. So maybe we could come up with the joint solutions. So we only have discussed this for 3 years. We had the first climate conference of BRICS last year. So you just can't come up with this kind of the commitments with these differences. Unfortunately, would be a miracle you could do, but unfortunately that doesn't happen much. And the third question was about the Indian summit. Yes? The scenarios for India. That is very interesting because India had changed a lot within the last month. We were just talking with our Indian partners about other things, about the trade relations and trade research. And I was mentioning as a well-known fact that India is for multilateral, is well known for its multilateral approach to trade. And they said, no, no more. So we are for bilateral. And I said, for how long? For 2 weeks, they said. So they are very much changing. And therefore I wouldn't make any forecast for the summit. So they are very much changed their priorities. And if we, for example, saw not much interest in the settlements in national currencies, so rupee just was allowed to be traded internationally in 2022. So what we're talking about, but they are very much interested in it now. So probably we will see the continuity of this at least in the economic field, and in the climate issues, then they also very much interested. So they are not ready to give the proper commitments at this stage, but that's perfectly understandable. So poverty elimination first goes first. Yeah? If you give us a couple of trillions, then we can diversify. Yeah? But until then, no. So we have other priorities, but they still are ready to discuss these issues. So I probably will see the continuity of these again. So sentiments, national parts. Of course, I leave the whole international affairs part. The half of the declaration is dedicated to that part, but I leave it out. For now, yes, I focus on these three areas. We will most likely.
Okay, I think we have time for one last round. So there.
Dia, obrigada pela apresentação. Eu sou pesquisadora autônoma na pesquisa de inovação, e eu gostaria de saber se o tema cerceamento tecnológico, que é uma prática comum em muitos países, foi, de alguma forma, estudado entre os países do BRICS, se existe algum posicionamento conjunto entre os países com relação a esse tema, desenvolvimento tecnológico. Obrigada.
Bom dia a todos. Bom dia, professora. É um prazer imenso poder ouvi-la. Eu queria saber a opinião da senhora. Em 2015, a ONU lançou os 17 Objetivos de Desenvolvimento Sustentável e a Agenda para 2030, né? Já se passaram 10 anos, faltam só 5. Eu queria saber, na opinião da senhora, se, dado o cenário global, né, dadas as tensões globais, se nós avançamos, se nós estamos próximos desses objetivos, dessa agenda, se nós estamos distantes, se nós devemos provocar ela. Qual a opinião da senhora sobre o assunto?
Você vê o funcionamento da passagem do BRICS do Brasil para a Índia. A preferência.
Thank you very much about the technical fund. Well, we have a framework. Don't really remember the proper name. But we have a framework of the projects funding for the technological development. It's part of the track, the technological track. And with the contacts, if you contact me afterwards, I'll give the proper name. Once in 2 years, I believe they have a competition for the BRICS multilateral projects, and in physics, chemistry, and everything. So it's kind of a fundamental project. You want to comment on it? I see you're searching for the mic. And they are funding the multilateral projects. The project must contain at least 3 countries of BRICS. This is very small. So it's not enough for a proper big project, but that's all we have now. So I would return to the question in China. China is too big. China is too big for the multilateral projects.
the technological impacts that we have subjected to. I don't know if you should. Desculpe, mas seria mais também em relação à prática de seria mais em relação à prática de licenciamento tecnológico, embargos tecnológicos, que é uma prática comum entre países de, entre aspas, boicotarem tecnologias, e isso tem reflexos em muitas áreas, todas as áreas da vida. E eu não sei se no BRICS esse tema foi discutido e se foi, se teria alguma proposta de ação conjunta entre os países do BRICS para lidar com essa prática de licenciamento tecnológico. Muito obrigada. Mais uma pergunta.
And then I think that's very easy because we are always for the open trade. We always have this in the declarations. But as for the discussions, especially for the political part, well, it's a complicated question. So in the declarations and everything, we're for trade and everything, but as in the economic part and in the tech part, we are very much afraid of China. We're very much for raising our own global competitors and we support them and everything. So I would say that we in BRICS. I would first see the future for in technological sphere multilateral projects where we can do that. And the second one for the regulation. And in the regulation, as an emerging economist, not as I started with, it's very important to be the voice of global majority, and all of the BRICS countries are for the support of the national systems. So no one will be against the excellent and the highlight of the nation. So they will all say that we are for the free trade and everything, but national domestic industry comes first. So the second one about SDGs, the next lecture on this one, because SDGs is a very big question. I would say that it's extremely necessary to have this kind of set of the global goals that everyone agrees upon. So they may be general or whatever, but there has to be something that we can anchor to when we are referring to the financing or whatever. You know that in the development assistance, so we have this last decade of the 90s of the last centuries, where we cannot anchor this development financing to anything. And then we invented this Millennium Development Goals. And everyone was starting to provide the same assistance for the same projects, but under this Millennium Development Goals umbrella. Then came the SDGs, and we have these. So I think that we will continue almost the same way. Let's remember what I said, before. So it will change, but will change gradually. And if you're asking about the formalization of this post SDG agenda, then I think that there will be something. So as we started to think about post 2015 agenda in advance, 2 or 3 years before, they will set some working group, create some chat in Telegram or WhatsApp, and discuss the potential future of this goals.
No, we're not achieving them. That's more or less common knowledge, but it's good to have this kind of goal. So it's kind of an illusion that we can achieve that, but we have to have this illusion to enter. It's sad. Sorry for that. Maybe the next one will be a bit more positive. So from how we'll pass from Brazil to India.
I think that it's very similar.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so I think we're finished now. We thank Alexandra very much for coming here and sharing your thoughts with us. So, fazer uma colaboração com a colega. Eu sou especialista em ODS. Obrigada. Eu sou especialista em ODS e a ONU, essa semana passada, publicou o relatório do ODS e nós, no geral, a gente apenas conseguiu alcançar 35% dos números. É isso. E o relatório está à disposição, se você quiser.